Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. So let me just start with a question. Have you noticed lately that more people around you are coughing, sneezing, or just coming down with something? Maybe it's the weather changes, your throat feels scratchy, you feel foggy and tired, and you just can't seem to shake it. You've been to the doctor, maybe even a couple of times you picked up your prescription. You took the medicine, but somehow it still feels like it never really went away. It's like it's still lurking in the background. Am I right? Today I want to talk about something really basic but really powerful. Have you ever stopped and thought, why do we actually get sick? And more than that, why is it that sometimes, even after we've seen multiple doctors, tried all kinds of treatments, and spent time and money on appointments and copays, those nagging health issues just keep coming back? Why does it feel like we're just managing symptoms instead of actually getting better? Let me tell you what I've learned after more than a decade of practicing medicine and taking care of thousands of patients. Most of the time, the real root cause isn't some super strong virus, and it's not some unusually stubborn bacteria that's resistant to antibiotics. The real root is often much closer to home. It's what we've been putting into our mouths day after day, meal after meal, year after year. Do you believe that? What you eat every single day is quietly shaping what your health will look like 5, 10, or 20 years from now. That's not fear mongering. That's just what I see in my exam room every single week with my own eyes across all ages and all backgrounds. Now, there's an ancient way of looking at the body that I find incredibly useful. Not because it's mysterious or spiritual, but because it's actually very practical and logical and has stood the test of time. It's the idea that our bodies are connected to the natural world in a very direct way, and that the five basic tastes, sour, bitter, sweet, pungent, which means spicy, and salty, each speak to a specific organ system, and when those tastes are in balance, your body thrives. But when one taste takes over and dominates everything else, that's when things start to go sideways. It's not about being perfect, it's about not letting any one flavor become the boss of your plate. Here's the map, plain and simple. Sour goes to the liver system. Bitter goes to the heart system, sweet goes to the spleen and stomach system. Think of it as your digestive engine. Pungent or spicy goes to the lung system. Salty goes to the kidney system. Now pay attention to that word goes to. It means that particular flavor has a special affinity for that particular organ. It travels there. It literally directs its energy to that part of your body. So when you eat a balanced mix of these flavors over the course of a day or a week, you're basically giving each organ what it needs to do its job well. That's nourishment. That's what eating well really means. Not just calories, but the right kinds of signals. And this is a huge but, when you overdo any one flavor, that same nourishment turns into a burden. It stops helping and starts hurting. Think of it like medicine. The right dose helps you, but too much of the same medicine becomes poison. And so many of the chronic issues I see in my practice, the fatigue, the digestive problems, the skin issues, the joint pain, the blood pressure problems, can be traced right back to this one simple principle: too much of one taste for too long, day in and day out. Let's start with sweet, because this is the one that affects the most people in our modern American lifestyle. Sweet goes to the spleen and stomach, your digestive center, the engine room of your body. In traditional thinking, this system is called the foundation of your health. It's where your body turns food into energy and blood and the building blocks that keep you alive and moving. So a moderate amount of natural sweetness from whole grains like brown rice and oats, from sweet potatoes, from a little bit of honey or fruit, that's good. That gently fuels your digestive engine without overwhelming it. But let's be brutally honest here. When we say sweet today in America, what are we actually eating? We're eating cupcakes from the grocery store bakery, donuts from the coffee shop, frappuccinos with whipped cream, chocolate bars from the checkout aisle, cookies, pastries, and highly processed snacks that are packed with refined sugar and high fructose corn syrup. That kind of sweet is not natural. It's concentrated, artificial, and completely overwhelming to your system. When you flood your body with that every day, sometimes multiple times a day, your digestive engine gets overworked. It gets sluggish, like a machine that's running too hot for too long, and its main job, processing nutrients and clearing out excess moisture from your body, starts to fail. So what happens when that moisture doesn't get cleared out? It builds up inside you like water in a basement that never gets pumped out. And that buildup shows up in very real, very physical ways. Weight gain, especially right around your belly, that stubborn ring that doesn't budge no matter how many crunches you do, chronic fatigue. where you wake up tired even after a full 8 hours of sleep, brain fog, feeling like you're wearing a wet blanket over your head, like you just can't think clearly, a thick white coating on your tongue when you brush your teeth in the morning. And yes, I do ask my patients to check that. And for women, heavier vaginal discharge, or even a higher tendency to develop cysts and fibroids over time. If you go to a conventional doctor with these symptoms, they might say it's hormonal imbalance, or they might say your thyroid is a little sluggish, or they might just say eat less and exercise more. And that's not wrong, but it's incomplete. It doesn't answer the deeper question, why is your body holding on to all this fluid and weight? In this framework, a lot of that is simply your digestive system being overwhelmed by too much sweet over too many years. The root isn't just calories, the root is the overload of that particular taste. And this is also where we start to see the connection to conditions like type 2 diabetes. In traditional terms, diabetes is often described as a wasting thirst condition, and it's strongly linked to that same sweet overload over decades. Your digestive system gets so worn out that it can't regulate your metabolism properly anymore. Your body becomes resistant to its own signals. Conventional medicine will give you insulin or oral medications to control your blood sugar, and those are absolutely life-saving and necessary. But they don't always ask the deeper question, why did this happen in the first place? Often it's because that digestive engine has been struggling for years under the weight of excess sweet. When we slowly support it back to balance by cutting back on refined sugar and giving it real whole foods, I've seen patients improve so much that they're able to reduce their medication under their doctor's close supervision. That's real, tangible, measurable change. Now let's talk about pungent spicy flavor. Spicy goes to the lungs, and the lungs are connected to your skin and body hair, what we call the outer surface of your body. A little bit of natural spice, think ginger root, scallions, fresh garlic, or a pinch of cayenne, can help your body open up and sweat out a chill. That's why when you feel like you're catching a cold or you got caught in the rain, a warm bowl of ginger soup or a cup of hot ginger tea can make you sweat and feel better the next day. It's because that mild spice helps your lungs push out the cold and open up your pores. But the way many people eat spicy today is completely different. It's not a pinch of ginger. It's a bucket load of hot sauce, extra hot buffalo wings, ghost pepper sauce on everything, spicy ramen that makes your face red and your eyes water, 5-alarm chili that feels like fire going down. People think that's fun, and I get it. I love flavor too. But when you overdo spicy, it doesn't just burn your mouth, it overheats your lungs from the inside, and since the lungs are connected to the skin, that heat has nowhere to go but out. So it comes out through your skin in ways you can see, and that shows up as red, angry acne, especially those deep cystic pimples that don't pop but just sit there and hurt on your face or your back or your chest, skin conditions like eczema or psoriasis that just won't clear up no matter what cream you try from the drugstore or what prescription your dermatologist gives you. I've had patients who spent months, sometimes years, going to dermatologists, trying prescription ointments, changing their face wash, doing everything right on the outside, but their skin still flared up again and again. Then we sat down and talked about their daily diet, and it turned out they were eating spicy food almost every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. Hot sauce on eggs, spicy chips at lunch, extra hot salsa with dinner. And when they agreed to cut back on the spicy stuff just for a few weeks, not forever, their skin improved dramatically, not overnight, but significantly. The breakouts became less frequent, less angry, and easier to manage. That's not coincidence, that's cause and effect, plain and simple. And here's another link. The lungs and the large intestine are connected in this system. They're like close cousins in your body, so all that heat from spicy food doesn't just stay in your lungs, it can also travel downward and affect your lower digestive tract. That's why people who love extremely spicy food often struggle with hemorrhoids or irritation in that area. It's all connected. There's no such thing as an isolated symptom. What you eat doesn't just affect your stomach, it affects your whole body, from your skin all the way down. Next, let's talk about salty. Salty goes to the kidneys. Your kidneys are your body's water management system. They control fluid balance, and they also support your bones and your overall structural integrity. A certain amount of salt is absolutely essential for human life. If you don't eat any salt at all, you'll feel weak, dizzy, and your body simply can't function properly. So salt is not the enemy, but the problem is most Americans eat way more salt than we actually need. Processed foods, canned soups, deli meats, frozen dinners, chips, fast food, even many salad dressings and condiments. They're all loaded with hidden sodium, and when you eat too much salt, your kidneys have to work overtime to filter it out. They're like a water treatment plant that gets overwhelmed by a flood to protect your body. They hold on to water to try to dilute that salt and keep your blood from becoming too concentrated, but that extra fluid stays in your system, and that extra fluid puts extra pressure on everything. So what does that look like in real life? Puffiness around your eyes when you wake up in the morning, your eyelids look swollen and heavy. Swollen feet and ankles, especially if you can press your finger into your ankle and leave a dent that stays for a few seconds. That's called edema. And over time, that extra fluid in your blood vessels drives your blood pressure up, sometimes dangerously high. Now, conventional medicine will treat high blood pressure with medications, and I prescribe those when needed, and they save lives. But we don't always emphasize enough how powerful dietary salt reduction can be. From this perspective, high blood pressure is often a water disease. The kidneys aren't clearing fluid efficiently. So the pressure builds like water in a hose with a kink. If we give the kidneys a break by cutting back on salt, that pressure can often come down naturally. I've seen patients lower their numbers significantly just by cooking with less salt and avoiding processed foods. Sometimes we're even able to reduce their medication under close supervision. And there's another connection. Your kidneys also support your bones in this system. When you eat too much salt, your body tries to balance it out by pulling calcium from your bones. Over the years, that can weaken your bones and increase your risk of osteoporosis. So that extra salt you sprinkle on your fries, or that frozen dinner you grab for convenience on a busy weeknight, or that bag of pretzels you eat while watching Netflix. It's not just about your blood pressure, it's also about your bone health down the road, especially as you get older, and it's not just the salt shaker. It's the hidden sodium in packaged snacks, instant noodles, canned vegetables, and even some breakfast cereals. Those are the silent culprits that creep up on you. Now let's talk about sour. Sour goes to the liver system, and the liver is in charge of keeping things moving smoothly. What we call free flow of energy, blood, and nutrients. A little bit of sour, like a squeeze of lemon, a splash of apple cider vinegar. Some fermented foods like sauerkraut or kimchi can help with that flow. It has a mild astringent effect, which means it can help hold things in place when you're losing too much fluid, like when you sweat heavily on a hot day or after a hard workout. That's why a glass of sour plum drink or lemon water can actually help you feel less depleted and more balanced. And this is important if you overdo sour, that same astringent effect becomes too tight. It constricts instead of flowing. It's like gripping a rope too tightly. You lose flexibility. And when that happens, your muscles and tendons, which are governed by the liver system in this framework, can become stiff and tight. I've seen patients who complain of muscle cramps at night, tight shoulders that won't relax, stiff joints in the morning, and general achiness. And when I ask about their diet, they tell me they've been drinking apple cider vinegar every single day because they heard it's a miracle cure. Or they eat pickled foods with every single meal, or they drink lemon juice straight, and the more sour they eat, the tighter they feel. When they cut back, their muscles relax, their joints move more freely, and those nighttime cramps become much less frequent. It's that direct, and here's another domino effect in this system. The liver and the digestive system, the spleen and stomach are closely related. They interact like neighbors who share a wall. So when your liver gets too tight from excess sour, it can actually invade your digestive system and cause symptoms like acid, reflux, heartburn, stomach pain, and bloating. So if you already have a sensitive stomach or you're prone to indigestion, piling on sour foods is not doing you any favors. That's why balance is so critical. One organ's excess becomes another organ's problem. And then you end up chasing symptoms instead of fixing the root. Finally, let's talk about bitter. Bitter goes to the heart system. The heart is associated with fire and warmth in this traditional view. And in hot summer months, a little bitter like bitter melon, dandelion, greens, endive, or even a cup of unsweetened cocoa can help cool and calm that fire. It also has a drying effect, which means it can help clear out excess dampness and fluid from your body. It's like opening a window to let out steam, but bitter is also cold in nature. And if you eat too much of it, especially if you're someone who already tends to feel cold or you have poor circulation or you're older, you can actually dampen your body's warmth and energy. Think of it like putting out a campfire that you actually need to keep burning. Overdo bitter, and you may start to feel chilly even when the room is warm, or cold hands and feet, weak and low energy, like you just can't get going. Loose stools or digestive discomfort that wasn't there before. I've seen people who heard bitter melon can lower blood sugar, and they start juicing it every single morning religiously. And after a few weeks, they come into my office looking pale, feeling exhausted, their digestion is off. and they can't figure out why it's not that bitter melon is bad. It's actually quite beneficial in small amounts, but more isn't always better. Even good things in excess become a problem. That principle of moderation applies to every single one of these flavors without exception. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, okay, doctor, but I only have a little sugar in my morning coffee, or a little hot sauce on my eggs, or a pinch of salt on my dinner. That can't be that serious, right? And I hear you, I really do. But here's the thing, your body doesn't change overnight. It doesn't break down in one day. It changes slowly, gradually, over years and decades, and the signs are often subtle at first. Fatigue, mild digestive issues, a few skin breakouts, poor sleep that you blame on stress or getting older. These aren't normal just because they're common Thayer signals. They're your body's way of tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, something's off. The question is, are you listening to that tap, or are you ignoring it until it becomes a shout? If you ignore those small signals and keep eating the same way, the signals get louder, they become chronic, and eventually they turn into diagnosable conditions, metabolic syndrome, hypertension, diabetes, chronic skin disorders, joint disease that are much harder to reverse than to prevent. So my goal here isn't to make you afraid or paranoid, it's to make you aware, because awareness gives you power and power gives you choices. Now, let's talk about why this imbalance is so common today. I think there are three big reasons that I see over and over again in my practice. Reason number one, we eat out constantly and we eat processed foods more than ever before. I'm talking about busy families, working professionals, college students, even retirees. Many of us eat 2 or even 3 meals a day away from home or from a package. Restaurant food, fast food, takeout, and deli food are all designed to taste amazing. And to do that, they use more salt, more sugar, more oil, and more spices than you would ever use at home. You can't control how much goes into each dish. You're at the mercy of the chef's recipes, and over time, that excess adds up in ways you can't even taste. Reason number two, processed snacks and convenience foods are absolutely everywhere. Walk down any aisle at Walmart or your local grocery store, and you'll see row after row of chips, crackers, cookies, candy, frozen pizzas, and sugary drinks. And each one is packed with hidden salt, hidden sugar, and artificial flavorings that trick your taste buds. You might think you're just having a small snack while watching TV or during your afternoon break. But that one bag of chips or that one granola bar can contain more sodium or more sugar than your body needs for the entire day. Those hidden flavors are the silent trap that sneaks up on you without you even noticing. Reason number three, stress. I don't have to tell you that life in America is stressful. Between work deadlines, kids' activities, mortgage payments, insurance copays, and everything else on your plate, we're all running on empty. And when we're stressed, our bodies naturally crave comfort food. And comfort food is almost always sweet, salty, or spicy, or all three together. It gives us a quick hit of dopamine, a temporary relief from whatever we're dealing with. But when we use food to cope with stress day after day, we create a vicious cycle. We eat heavy flavors to feel better in the moment. And those flavors make our body work harder in the background, which adds more physical stress to our system over time. It's a loop that's hard to break, but I promise you, it's not impossible. So what can we actually do about this starting today without overhauling your entire life overnight? Let me give you some practical steps that I've seen work for thousands of patients over the years. First, and I cannot stress this enough, don't try to change everything at once. That is a recipe for burnout, frustration, and quitting. Instead, pick one single small goal for this week. For example, this week, swap your afternoon soda or sweetened iced tea for unsweetened sparkling water. Just that one change, or ask for the sauce on the side when you order takeout. So you control how much goes on your food, or try using half the salt you normally use in your cooking. And replace that half with garlic powder, onion powder, fresh herbs like basil or oregano, or a little smoked paprika. One small change. Stick with it for a week and see how you feel. Your body will give you feedback. Second, pay attention not just to what you eat, but how you eat. The mechanics matter. I know we're all busy, and many of us eat lunch in 10 minutes at our desks or in the car, but when you eat that fast, your digestive system has to work twice as hard. Your stomach doesn't have time to signal your brain that you're full, so you end up overeating without even realizing it. Try this, put your fork down between bites. Chew each bite thoroughly, at least 15 to 20 times. Drink a little warm water during your meal instead of iced drinks. And try eating in this order. Start with a small bowl of soup or a glass of warm water, then eat your vegetables, then your protein, and finally your carbohydrates. That sequence can help keep your blood sugar more stable and give your digestive system an easier job. Third, think about the temperature of what you drink. A lot of people love ice drinks with their meals. I get it. It's refreshing, especially in the summer, but cold beverages, especially with food, can slow down your digestive process. Your body has to use extra energy to warm that liquid up before it can even start working on the food. That's extra work that your system doesn't need. So try switching to room temperature or warm water, especially when the weather is chilly. It's a simple change, but over time it makes a real difference. Now, I want to say something specifically to my older viewers, folks in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. I know that as we age, our taste buds naturally become less sensitive. So food that used to taste flavorful and satisfying now seems bland. And the natural tendency is to add more salt, more sugar, or more hot sauce to make it taste better. But that's exactly when we need to be more mindful, not less. Instead of reaching for the salt shaker, try experimenting with herbs and spices, basil, oregano, rosemary, thyme, turmeric, cumin, cinnamon, even a little lemon zest or orange peel. These add flavor, color, and variety without burdening your kidneys, your blood sugar, or your blood pressure, and they make food interesting again, which is half the battle when you're cooking every day. And for my younger viewers, those of you in your 20s and 30s, please hear me on this because I mean it with genuine concern. I know you feel invincible right now. You can eat pizza at midnight and wake up feeling fine. You can have a donut for breakfast and not feel it, but your health is like a retirement account. The habits you build in your 20s and 30s will either pay you generous dividends in your 50s and 60s, or they'll come due with interest, and you'll be playing catch up. Don't wait until your blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood sugar starts creeping up at your annual physical to make a change. Start now. When it's easy and gradual, that is the best investment you'll ever make. And let me be crystal clear, this is not about deprivation. This is not about never eating birthday cake, never enjoying a spicy meal with friends, or never having a bag of chips at a barbecue. That would be miserable. And I would never tell you to live that way. That's not health, that's punishment. It's about patterns, it's about the big picture. If the majority of your meals are balanced with a little sweet, a little sour, a little bitter, a little spicy, and a little salty, then your body can easily handle the occasional indulgence. That's what I mean by harmony. That's what makes this sustainable for the long haul. Think of it like this. Your body is like a household. Each organ is a member of the family with a specific role and specific needs. And each flavor is like a different kind of resource that the household uses. When everyone gets the right amount of what they need, the household runs smoothly, things get done, and there's peace. But if one member gets too much attention, too many resources, and everyone else gets neglected or overwhelmed, the whole household falls into chaos. Your body is no different. Balance is not just a nice idea, it's a functional necessity for everything to work properly. So here's my challenge to you. Starting with dinner tonight, take a good, honest look at your plate. Ask yourself, do I see a real variety of colors? Do I see green vegetables, red tomatoes, yellow peppers, white onions, black beans, brown grains, purple cabbage? Do I taste a little sweet, a little salty? A little sour, a little spice, maybe even a hint of bitter from some greens. That variety isn't just pretty, it's nourishing every single organ system in your body in a coordinated way. When your plate is colorful, your health is colorful. When your plate is monotonous, your health tends to follow the same path. And I also want to encourage you to share this idea with your family because health is a team sport. If you have kids at home, teaching them to appreciate a variety of flavors early on is one of the best gifts you can give them. They'll grow up with a palate that naturally craves balance, not extremes. They'll be less likely to reach for a bag of chips and more likely to enjoy a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts. If you have older parents or grandparents, gently remind them that small changes in their cooking can make a big difference in their energy, their joints, their skin, and their overall quality of life. One person's change can influence a whole household, and a household can influence a whole community. It's a positive ripple effect that starts right at the dinner table. Now, I want to address one more thing that I get asked all the time. When I talk about these principles, patients often ask me, Doctor, do I need to go out and buy expensive supplements or follow some complicated diet plan? Or order special meal kits to get this right? And my answer is always the same. No, the most powerful medicine is not in a pill bottle and it's not in some fancy subscription box. It's in your own kitchen. It's in the ingredients you choose at the grocery store, the vegetables, the whole grains, the lean proteins. The herbs and spices, it's in the way you prepare them simply without drowning them in heavy sauces. And it's in the way you sit down to enjoy them slowly without distraction, so you can actually taste and appreciate what you're eating. Supplements can be helpful in certain situations. And I do recommend them for some of my patients, but they are not the foundation. The foundation is food, real, whole, minimally processed food. That's where the real magic happens, not in a bottle, but on a plate. And please, I'm going to say this straight. Don't wait until your body is really breaking down to start paying attention. I've had too many patients over the years sit in my office and say, with genuine regret, I wish I had known this 10 years ago. And I always tell them, it now, and that still matters. That still counts. Your body is incredibly resilient. It wants to heal. It wants to function well, but it needs your help. It needs you to give it the right inputs, the right balance of flavors, so it can do its job properly and keep you feeling good for as long as possible. So here's my final thought for today. This isn't about perfection. It's not about never making a mistake, never having a treat, never enjoying a meal out with friends. It's about awareness. It's about waking up each day and making a conscious, intentional choice to nourish yourself rather than just fill your stomach. It's about tasting your food slowly, appreciating the flavors, and noticing how you feel after you eat. Not just your stomach, but your energy, your mood, your focus, your sleep. Because when you eat with intention, with attention, you're not just feeding your body. You're caring for it the way you would care for someone you love, and that care over time becomes health. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this: you are the single most important person in your own healthcare. Not your doctor, not your pharmacist, not your insurance company. You, every meal, you're either choosing health or choosing illness. Not in a dramatic one-time way, but in 1,000 small ways that add up over time. And those small ways, those small choices add up to big results. The power is in your hands at every single meal, every single day. That's not just empowering, it's true. So from today, try just one small change. Maybe it's less sugar in your morning coffee. Maybe it's an extra vegetable at dinner. Maybe it's taking 5 extra minutes to eat slowly and enjoy your food. Maybe it's drinking a glass of warm water before your meal. Whatever it is, do it with intention, do it with curiosity, and watch how your body responds. It will thank you, often in ways you weren't expecting. If you found this helpful, I'd genuinely love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the one flavor you think you might be overdoing, or what's one small change you're going to make this week? I read as many comments as I possibly can, and your stories, your struggles, and your wins, they inspire me and they remind me why I make these videos. And if you know someone who's always tired, always fighting a cold, or struggling with weight, skin issues, or blood pressure, please share this video with them. Sometimes the best gift you can give someone is not a pill or a product, but a fresh perspective, a way of understanding their own body that they never considered before. Remember, health isn't a destination. It's not a finish line you cross and then you're done. It's a journey, and every meal is a step along that path. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be a little better than you were yesterday. That's how real, lasting, sustainable change happens. Not in a week, not in a month, but over years of small, consistent choices. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, for caring about your health, and for trusting me with your attention. I truly appreciate you. Take care of yourself, eat well, breathe deeply, and I'll see you in the next video. And as always, this is for educational purposes only. This video is not medical advice for your specific situation. Always consult your own doctor before making any changes to your diet, your medications, or your health routine. If you're dealing with any health concerns, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science and the principles behind it, not to replace professional medical advice that's tailored to you. Take care, be well, and I'll talk to you soon.